Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 33 of What If Kaguya was Naruto's mother. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform guys. And also stay in tune for What If Naruto was neglected by everyone. And I do hope you guys enjoy. And over on Anime King 2, I post a brand new episode of What If the Ten Tails was sealed inside of Naruto. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And later on I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto's a Vampire. So stay in tune for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support guys. And also comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Begin the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last part we left off, Naruto ripped away Orochimaru's soul as he held the soul in his hand. As Naruto decided to give him the worst punishment, seeing that if he allowed Orochimaru's soul to get away, he will just reanimate himself. As Naruto held onto it and crushed it tight until it exploded in his palm. And with that he picked up Koji as he headed back to Konoha. He put Koji in bed. As he then headed off, he arrived at the council room where he sensed Minato's chakra as he entered. As the moment he did, the group started to question him about what they saw. As a Chunin was watching when Naruto got slammed into the rock and emerged as this figure with white hair and horns. As Minato told everyone to leave except for Shibe and Shikaku. As Naruto told them that yes, he's the elemental sage, saying that he's leaving Konoha. As Minato was upset at first to hear that, but he knew his father was going to do the same thing that he did to him, but in this case he's going to do it for his sister. And with that, Naruto headed back home. Naruto came home as he sensed Anko inside, as she had broken through his window, as he asked her what is she doing here, as she was angry at him at first for not telling her that he's the elemental sage, as he told her it's not that he didn't trust her, it's just he didn't want to tell anyone about it. As he told Anko he's leaving, Anko thought that he would just be leaving for a couple of weeks, but he told her it will be years, as she begged him to stay, but Naruto told her that he has to go. As she's in her early 20s now, she has other friends, but she liked having Naruto around, and to his surprise, she kissed him. As she asked him if that would make him stay, but Naruto told her that he don't see her like that. As a small tear came at her eye, as she hugged him and told him goodbye then. And with that she left. Naruto then had a nice meal with Koji, Kushina and Minato the next morning as he headed off. The scroll also went missing with Shikaku inside of it. As Naruto headed off towards the Hidden Rain. Meanwhile, the Hidden Rain Zetsu showed up as he had the chakra of all the remaining tail beasts. As he's been gathering a small portion of their chakra and he just got a small piece from the stone village from their two Jinchurikis. As Konan tried to kill him but she failed, as Naruto got there and told Konan to head off. As Naruto watched the statue turn into his mother, but this being was not his mother. It was made up of pure chakra, an entity. It didn't have a soul. As his mother combined her chakra with the tail beast, the 10 tails back then, that is what she wanted to do. Combine her chakra with the horse. As she told him that he cannot win, as she's a god. As she stretched out her hands, as Naruto felt it, the 8-tail Jinchuriki was dead. As he realized what his mother was doing, she was taking back all of the tail beast chakra, seeing that all of them are basically the 10 tails, as she was absorbing them. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can choose your cursor place and check it out for yourself. So Let's start this new episode. As Naruto saw his mother trying to absorb the chakra, as he could see a large mist coming from the west. While he didn't move, Naruto pushed out his own chakra. A massive dome stretched out from Naruto to kilometers that will stop the Bijus from becoming one again. Kaguya gave her son a sad smile as she lowered her hands. As she looked at him, she had sensed him trying to stop her from gathering all the Bijus. And here I was foolishly hoping that you would realize that our fighting is over, son, she told him. I still remember how you rated and rant about that you will take back what belongs to you. What made you think that my feeling towards your plans has changed, Naruto said. Kaguya smiled as Naruto saw anger in her eyes. You are always so stubborn. Zetsu turned into slime as he moved up Kaguya's sleeve. As Naruto looked at her, an explosion of fire happened right in front of her face, blowing her back, but she just stopped in mid-air as she came back on balance. In an instant, Naruto appeared in front of her. As he drove his foot straight towards her face, she extended her hand as a bone pierced right through his foot. As Naruto then pulled his foot around, bringing her with him, as the bone snapped from her hand as her body was sent flying into the ground. As Naruto reached down and pulled out the bone and threw it away. As he then turned, she had a smile on her face. Now, it's over, Naruto, she said as she looked down. As Naruto looked down at his foot to see that the wound was not closing instantly, as it was bleeding. As Naruto turned towards his hand, as he could feel the bone tendency. As when he grabbed it, it was not natural. It had some kind of powerful, corrosive that could counteract his healing ability. But Naruto could still take care of that as he focused his chakra down towards his leg, as he removed the corrosive stream that tried to flow into him as he pushed it out, as his foot healed immediately. As Naruto looked up, as a barrage of fists made from chakra came towards him, as he stepped towards them, as a wall of air erupted in front of Naruto, blocking the fist. But the force of the fist surprised him, however, as he was pushed back even though his wall of shield was up. As bonding with the Jubi gave Kaguya more power than he thought. The shockwave alone split the earth and destroyed both sides, except for where Naruto stood in the center with his shield. As he then forced some of his chakra out to into the shield, making it even stronger, as he wasn't being pushed back anymore. As the earth around the two was collided apart, each punch came down like a tremor on the earth, cracking it and blowing it apart. As Naruto was holding the ground underneath him together, with his control over earth to give him a platform. She then turned some of her barrage to strike Naruto from the side and above. As Naruto quickly noticed that, as he covered himself this time in a complete dome of chakra, protecting his entire body. Can't you feel it, Naruto? Said Kaguya. My chakra wished to join with me once more. As Naruto could feel it, the chakra of all the Bijus that had gathered outside of the massive dome that he erected to cut it from his mother chakra, where it had first been one, all of them were now here, pulled from the ceiling arrays that he placed on the islands, as the Bijus were constantly pressing on his chakra barricade. As Naruto was confident he could hold them out, so long as he finished this before Kaguya focused on his dome. It wouldn't be able to withstand the kind of punishment that she could deal out. As Naruto saw her opening, as he thrust his chakra forward, as it went straight for her neck, as it transformed into a large axe that teared through her neck, as her head collapsed to the ground. As the fist of chakra that had been pounding on his shield stopped for a moment, as he used that moment to get out of that position, as her head, her dismembered head, turned into a cloud of pure chakra, as it then floated back up to her neck, as her head was reformed, with her Byakugan now activated with the veins bulging from the side of her head. Black flames spew forward from the center eye as it went towards Naruto. Naruto was able to recognize them as the same fire used from the Amaterasu, the Sharingan technique. So Kaguya's central eye did have some of the abilities of the Sharingan. As Naruto waved his hand, flames of star, he said, as white flames appeared and swallowed her black flames. But Naruto quickly realized she was no longer in front of him. As he started to panic as he pushed his chakra out, searching for her, wondering if somehow she could slip through the barrier. as he couldn't find her anywhere. The Bijuu's chakra was at the edge of his barrier, all 9 of them, as they seemed to be settling, as they were reforming back into their constructive forms, like the 9 tails and the 8 tails. That was good. When this was over, he would be able to take them back to the island and not worry about anyone trying to use them again. The feeling of cold air on his neck, have Naruto ducking down as 2 hands extending trying to grab him. As Naruto quickly turned around, as he saw his mother, as she was coming out of a portal half of her, as she breathed a stream of fire straight into his face. At this close range, it was impossible to dodge, so Naruto wrapped himself in a cocoon of his own chakra. As this was white flames, that fire seemed incredibly similar to my white flames, Naruto said. As his mother wasn't able to produce such flames when she was alive, it must have been something her chakra picked up when combining with the Jubi. As Naruto gathered his chakra at the center, as he charged it with wind and lightning and yang chakra, as he gathered and gathered, as he then shot it forward out of his shield. The pulse was strong enough to push back all of the flames and send her flying several meters away out of her portal. As Naruto had to hover above the earth, seeing that the entire ground was like molten lava after her flames burned everything. As Naruto raised his hand, as a large ocean of lava burst from the ground as he tried to swallow Kaguya. She quickly spun around her hand engulfed in chakra as she swiped right through it. As Naruto called another wave of lava to attack her from the front, but she swiped right through it again. But Naruto kept it up as he made the lava grew and expanded and trapping Kaguya. As Naruto quickly sucked all of the heat out of it, making it harden into rock, as he then quickly formed ice around it, trapping her. As he then created a lance of pure chakra and thrust it forward until it broke through the prison and hit her dead on inside. As his chakra then exploded inside, as Naruto was going to keep blowing her to pieces until he destroyed all of that chakra that made her up. As the other way was to use an attack that should be powerful than her chakra to dominate it and destroy it. But seeing that she was one of the most powerful beings in the elemental nation, that attack that he would have to use would most likely destroy the earth, and he was going to chance that. So the best way to do right now is keep on attacking her until he rip away that chakra inch by inch. As the dust vanished to reveal the landscape destroyed even more and a crater, but Kaguya was gone. As Naruto watched her body form a distance away from him as the chakra pulled together again, as he just destroyed her. The moment she fully reformed, she didn't look at Naruto, as she was looking at a small ball of orange chakra that was in her palm. As Naruto narrowed his eyes at the small ball before frowning, a sense of uneasy was rippling through him. That was explosion release chakra. How was his mother keeping it contained when she could not produce it? As if reading his mind, she turned around, as she had a smile on her face, as she then thrust the orb towards him, as it expanded into the size of a large cart as it came towards him in full speed. As Naruto did the same thing as he fired his own explosive release chakra, as the balls exploded with a boom, as lava picked up everywhere, as Naruto jerked back a bit. As Kaguya stood there with a smile still on her face. "You're copying me, aren't you?" said Naruto, with that new eye of yours. As Naruto realized, she never used to have these kinds of ability, but now the culprit must be the Jubi, that eye. She didn't answer, but her smile gained wider as Naruto understand what he needed to know. With her ability to copy his natures, that meant he could no longer take part in a drawn-out battle. She would only grow stronger as she gained access to different natures. As Naruto needed to do something about the Bijuus, as he then turned towards it, as the Bijuu's chakra was trapped into a spear, as it floated and came behind Naruto, as he needed to fight all out, and he cannot worry about the barrier stopping the Bijuus from coming here, so at least he can move it. As he then looked towards Kaguya, a large wall of lava from behind her rose quickly, moving faster than any shinobi could see, as it slammed right into her, launching her sideways. As Naruto appeared right in front of her, as he had his finger pointed towards her, as Kaguya could see the amount of chakra gathered in that finger, as he touched her body, as a ripple explosion of shockwave tear right through her, as her entire body exploded on contact. But she quickly reformed as she appeared in front of Naruto with a sword made out of ice and swing it at his head. But Naruto controlled the ear between his neck and the sword as he stopped the sword. Suddenly, wind appeared out of nowhere and started to slam into her face over and over as her ice sword dematerialized as Naruto pushed her backwards. As he made sure what he was using was wind chakra and not another advanced nature. Kaguya then started to push her own influence into Naruto's attack, manipulate the winds as she tried to use them against him. But a large shard of crystal then broke from the earth. As she jumped away, the moment she landed, another crystal broke from the earth, causing her to float up in the air. As several more crystals burst from the ground, as she had to fly to outmaneuver the attacks. As the crystal then stopped, as she turned to see Naruto, who hadn't moved from his position, as he was hovering above the ground, above the lava. Her gaze only stayed on Naruto for a moment, until her attention was caught by a large mountain floating above the earth, several kilometers behind him. As she then watched the mountain explode, splitting itself into small pieces, as one of those small pieces was the size of a two-story house. And there was hundreds, probably thousands of them. As Naruto lowered his hand, as each piece dashed towards her with incredible speed. Knowing that she couldn't dodge, as Naruto would redirect the attack instantly, she tried to take control of the attack. She spread out her own chakra, as she made few of them shake or move slightly, but Naruto squashed that with his own chakra. As she sent out wave after wave of attack, trying to subdue them all, but it couldn't, and it wouldn't be enough as Naruto just enhanced the speed of the flying projectiles coming towards her. As she was unwilling to be forced to reconstruct herself again, she didn't want him to destroy her completely again. She quickly pushed her chakra further into it as she kept on pushing until some of the pieces flew back towards Naruto, as she kept on blowing them apart. But to her surprise, they started to reform together as she tried to break them and push them apart. But they were still reforming and coming towards her with incredible speed, as Naruto was moving the earth itself that he was winning, as she was trying to influence it. As she lowered her attack, as it wouldn't help, as the mountains crushed down on her with a sickening boom that rocketed through the area. As Naruto watched her slowly build her body back up, she didn't even look at him, she just disappeared into one of her portals. As Naruto looked around, the silence of the battlefield put him on edge. The waiting was getting him nervous, as the seconds turned into minutes, as he thought that his mother probably is staying where she sent herself, so he would probably have to go there. It was a worst case scenario, as he couldn't wait for Kaguya to show herself, knowing that she had an unknown ability at her disposal. He would be going in without knowledge of his surroundings, or of his mother's full capabilities. That is if he could reach her, as Naruto, even with his power, he would have to check every square inch of the planet, above and below ground. As Naruto watched the portal start to open to his left, a distance away from him, as Naruto's eyes went wide, as he saw Koji. Koji looked like he had just woken up, but his body was frozen in fear, his arms stuck to his sides. As he completely came through the portal, he was still frozen in fear as he looked at Naruto, unable to recognize Naruto without his illusions. As Kaguya exited the portal, as she had a hand on Koji's shoulder as she brushed his hair. "Naruto," said Kaguya, as she continued to brush Koji's hair, "you didn't tell me that I had a grandchild, or a great-grandchild for that matter." As she then brought her hands around as she locked it around Koji's throat. He looked so fragile. The moment she blinked, her body was split into tiny pieces as her hostage was gone. As she couldn't realize or understand the chakra he just used, that speed, as not even her Renning Sharingan could copy that nature. But she didn't care, as she was focusing on the spear floating with all of the tail beast chakra. As Naruto chakra quickly covered Koji in a protective cocoon to see if his mother dealt any damage to Koji. Thankfully, nothing was wrong physically, besides a seal placed on his back. It was a locator seal, something that Minato placed. It hadn't been there the last time Naruto looked him over. That means it wasn't done by Orochimaru. And Kaguya didn't even know how to do these kind of things, as Koji's heart was beating rather fast. As Naruto then felt it, he quickly spun around as he cursed to see what his mother had done, as he watched the last of a chakra from Biju drain into one of Kaguya's portals. As he heard her chuckling, "It's been so long, Naruto, but you haven't changed, truly," she said, as a portal opened behind her as she started to sink into it. "You are so focused on one task, you completely forgot about the other." As time started to slow down, as Naruto focused on the multiple options that he could take. He could follow her, chase her through the portal, he could fight her on her terms, something that was highly desirable. Doing so would leave Koji unprotected by himself and alone when he was already afraid. That was unacceptable. The alternative was to let Kaguya go and absorb the Biju's chakra. This was also unacceptable, as it meant he was giving up on the Bijus, as he wouldn't do that. As he saw the gleam in her eye, she also knew this. Perhaps it wasn't intentional, it wasn't planned, but she knew that he had to make a choice, and that played perfect for her. Staring into her pale eyes, Naruto felt a third option start to form in his head. As Naruto glanced at Koji, Minato and Kushina will tear him apart after this, and he would deserve every piece of it. As he went down and wrapped one arm around Koji's back, as Koji tried to break free from his grip. "I'm sorry, Koji," said Naruto. As Koji's eyes went wide, as he looked at Naruto, he recognized the voice. "Gigi?" As Naruto smiled softly. "But I'm going to need to take you with me for a bit," Naruto said. As the boy didn't get to answer, as Naruto enveloped himself and Koji with swift release, as Kaguya already fully moved through her portal, but the portal was still there, as it was closing, as he dashed inside with Koji, when they came upon a world with nothing but ice. As the cloud of chakra made Naruto immune to the coldness, but Koji has no such protection, as his arms quickly covered his body as he started to shake, as Naruto quickly formed a protective shell and heated a bit around himself and Koji, as Koji sighed as he was placed on the ground. "Are you okay, Koji?" Naruto asked, as he didn't turn to look at his grandson, as he was too busy looking at his surroundings. "Gigi, is that you?" Koji said. "Why do you look so weird?" "I'll explain another time, Koji. Not now, okay?" "You aren't feeling anything strange, are you?" Naruto asked. His body was fine, but Koji's was not as resilient as his. What could not affect him might be hurting Koji. "I'm fine, Gigi," said Koji, as he started to look around at the landscape. "Gigi, what's going on?" he asked. As Naruto didn't answer, seeing that he wasn't really sure, he thought by following Kaguya through the portal, he would appear right behind her. But this was some sort of method of transportation. He wasn't even in the same location of her, as this meant she has the ability to decide where her portals open and close, even if she wasn't going through them at the time. That meant that they could be anywhere, as he could feel her presence all around them. It wasn't like she was standing beside him. No, it was like her body was covered all over the place. She knew that they were here, but she was doing nothing to them. What was she planning? As Naruto frowned, they had to get back. Kaguya wasn't here, and they didn't know how to get to her directly. He also wanted to get Koji back to Minato. Koji was a weakness that she would probably use in a fight, seeing what her early actions were, by bringing him here, knowing that Naruto would be caught off guard by seeing this boy. Question is, how are they going to get home? Exploring the place will take too long. They need a link, somewhere to get to somewhere, and then he can use that to get back to Konoha. As Naruto looked at the back of his hand, the seal that he placed on the ATL host, it was still active. He had used it to make sure he could find the man at any time. As Naruto channeled chakra into his hand, as he tried to find the link back home, but nothing happened. There should be a sensation of the link pulling him, but there was nothing, which meant that the seal on his hand could not connect to the seal that he placed on the ATL's host. This would probably mean that the seal was destroyed, but that was unlikely, seeing that the Jinchuriki only died about 2 hours ago, or there was a barrier around the host. as Naruto realized the barrier was around him, as he realized Kaguya chakra could be infecting the seal. As Naruto motioned for Koji to come next to him, as Koji pulled back from the cliff, as Naruto stretched out his chakra to find where Kaguya's barrier ended. "What are you doing, Jiji?" Koji asked, noting that his grandfather's eyes were closed, but they were standing still for a minute. "Getting us out of here, Koji," said Naruto. As Naruto was getting irritated, as he couldn't find the end, he could sense her chakra all around him, meaning that there must be a source somewhere. Almost 2 minutes later, Naruto found the edge of the barrier, directly above him. Having found the edge, he pulled back his chakra from where it was extended, as he slammed it straight upwards. As Naruto could feel the barrier bend and flex under his assault, but he could also feel it reinforcing. Realizing that he needed to get out quickly if he wanted to stop Kaguya, Naruto gathered Koji into his arms, getting a yell from the boy, as he then bent his knees and launched up into the air. As the light bubble of chakra that Naruto created earlier hardened, as the winds raced by them, as Naruto's shield smashed through the barrier, as it then tear right through it. As Naruto was in trouble, the dimension that Kaguya went through, this dimension was a bubble in between the elemental nations, as the reality was much larger than this. This place was just a stored place. So the moment Naruto break through this dimension shield, he was assaulted by all of the pressure. He was like a small atom compared to everything else. As Naruto used chakra that would drain Kage's within a second to reinforce his shield around him and Koji, as it's been a long time since he used chakra like this. As Naruto tried to connect to the 8-tail host again, but nothing happened, as Naruto refrained himself from cursing out to hell, seeing that it would scare Koji. As Naruto sent more chakra to the seal, roughly the same amount of half a dozen Kages, but the same thing happened again. As Naruto did the same thing again, this was a quantity of chakra that was 3 times greater than Kurama's chakra. A slight flicker gave Naruto hope as he pushed 5 times the amount that Kurama possessed. As the connection was established, as Naruto could feel the link, as Naruto's eyes turned black with an ember at the center, as a flame sparked in existence, as he used his shadow and fell back with him and Koji, as the both of them vanished in the shadow, as his shield that remained inside was torn to pieces in the middle of the dimension, but Naruto was already gone. Stumbling into a room, Naruto collapsed on the ground with Koji in his arms, as he had no idea where he just was, but he had never used such chakra or pushed himself in a very long time before. As Naruto then felt an illusion trying to affect him, a very powerful one, creating another bubble around him, realizing that Koji would be affected by the illusion. As Naruto turned to Koji, as Naruto, for his very long life, was speechless, as he looked at Koji's eye sockets to see the Rinnegan. They were there only for a moment before Koji blinked, and they were gone, replaced with the same eyes. "Jiji," said Koji, as if he was waking up from a deep sleep. "Yes," said Naruto, as he was still stunned to what he just saw. "We will be going back to Konoha soon." As Naruto then looked around, as he saw the dead person, it was a dark-skinned man with the strange sword style. His chakra coils has been ruptured when the 8-tail was pulled from him. As Naruto activates Swift Release and enter Koji in it, as he burst through the doors, as he wondered where the hell the people were in the hospital. As he looked around, no one was in there. As he then came outside to shock to see roots with cocoons hanging from them, as Naruto turned to see the massive Jube eye in the air, shining like the sun. As Naruto with Swift Release was able to get to Konoha with ease, as he brought Koji home, as he then gathered all the food that was in the house, as he shielded the entire house from this strange light and placed Koji inside, as he told him he must stay here. As Koji wanted to help his grandfather, but he couldn't, as Naruto told him that he must, as the entire place of Konoha, everyone was stringed up with vines, as they were wrapped in cocoons. As Naruto quickly headed towards the source, as he saw a massive tree, as he headed towards it, as Naruto noticed that Kaguya was waiting there at the base, as Naruto noticed an unnatural glow around his mother's chakra. Naruto, it's over, she said, as her voice was different as well. As Naruto said nothing, there was no hope for them now. All of the Bijuu's mind would have withered away into their chakra after she crushed it and forced it into herself. As Naruto spared a mental moment to apologize to the Bijuus. Seeing that, he failed them. Around them, the lava has cooled and hardened, leaving a thick, rich soil. That was probably why Kaguya has created this tree here. Don't despair, Naruto. I knew that you would eventually appear when you broke free from one of my realms. What is this? What have you done, Naruto said, as Kaguya merely smiled at him, like he was a child, demanding answers to things that he don't understand. I am taking what is rightfully mine, she said. Even now, all of those pathetic people who use my chakra for their own selfish desires, or having it drained from their body. Millions of people could die, Naruto realized. Millions could already be dead, depending on their chakra level. The civilians are most vulnerable. As his eyes looked on a giant tree behind Kaguya, if he destroyed it somehow, then perhaps this thing would fall. It was the source of the chakra that was bouncing off of the moon. You think that destroying the god tree would break the world from my control, she said, like she was reading his thoughts as she could see him looking at the tree. I could create another in seconds, and even if that failed, I merely have to aim my Rennie Sharingan toward the sky, and the world is in my grips once more. As she chuckled, it's truly over, Naruto. Just accept that, she said. You know I never liked to listen, said Naruto. As Naruto closed his eyes, as he calmed himself, as Kaguya didn't do anything, there was nothing that he could do. The world was in her palm, it was over. As chakra flew from the roots straight into her, she was stronger than a Jobe, greatly stronger. How could one person fight against the entire world? But her eyes then went wide, as chakra, appearing from nowhere, started to flow into her sun, a bottom endless pit. As Naruto's eyes opened to show, not the Byakugan, but a pure gold color, as an aura appeared around him, as his strength is growing by the second. But at least, Naruto said, continuing his speech from earlier, I don't have your arrogance. With that, he brought his hands together in a prayer-like motion. Sage art, land release, fall of the fake god, as he then separated his hands. As Kaguya then felt something from above, as she looked up, and to her surprise, mirroring Naruto's hands, just like how he split his hands apart, the moon was split into half, cancelling the effect of the infinite Tsukuyomi. There was no sound. The moon has just separated, as it was just drifting away. As Naruto speak, as she looked towards him, you may have influence over the earth, Naruto said, but only I can control it. And despite it being many thousand years since it was a part of the earth, the moon is still a part of it. Kaguya didn't respond until she screamed in pure anger as her chakra lashed out at him. It was like the world was fighting him. As the ground then break apart, turning into chunks, the wind held with speed as lightning crashed, as Naruto felt ice crawling up his ankles, as everything around here came violent. An ordinary person would have died by just the effect, but Naruto wasn't any ordinary person, as Naruto shattered the ice that attempted to trap him, as he was now covered in nature chakra. From there, he quickly reminded her that she wasn't facing someone who was scared of pure power, as he held out his hand as a small cube with a light at the center came from his palm. It quickly expanded as it swallowed Kaguya, as she acted with anger as lightning struck the cube from above, breaking it as it came on her hand, as she then pointed her hand at Naruto as the lightning thrust towards him, as Naruto made a sheet of iron out of the ground to hold off the lightning and push it into the ground, but it became red as the lightning tear right through it. But Naruto already activated Swift Release, as he appeared behind Kaguya, as he planted his hand that was rusted brown on her shoulder, as the rusted brown started to spread from his hand, crawling down her chest. But just as quickly as it started to spread, it started to recede, pushing back up her shoulder. Everything that you show me will only make me stronger, said Kaguya, as she turned her hand into the same rustic glow as his own, as she tried to place it on him. As Naruto felt her chakra try to invade his body, and I will use every single bit of it to make your suffering extend even longer, she said. As Naruto felt a large pressure pushing against his skin, as he took a large portion of his chakra to fight off the intrusion. The source was her third eye that was spinning ominously. As Naruto gritted his teeth, as his mouth was sealed though, as he didn't want her to see the effect it was happening on him. The power behind it was staggering, to the point where Naruto knew that he would fall if something didn't change quickly, as he could feel her chakra pouring into him, as his body was being attacked by all angles. As Kaguya's mouth split open into a grin, you can feel it, can you? As she clamped down on his shoulder. You can feel my eye pouring into yours, forcing you under my sway. My unlimited power against whatever feeble scraps you manage to pull together. As she took a step forward, now pushing against Naruto on a physical level. Your strength will fail soon, Naruto. Surely even you, of all people, could see that. The only thing that she received was a grunt from Naruto as a sudden force collided with her. Lightning, wind, and yang chakra. Instead of merely knocking her back though, it carried her on a wave of energy. Even her god tree was not safe, as everything that was in the area was blown away as the god tree was rooted from the ground as it collided over with a loud boom as dust and smoke filled the area. Naruto rubbed his shoulder as the rust release came off of his body. As his clothes, his shirt was a different story, as it crumbled into nothingness, as that was the most powerful illusion he has ever faced. When it reflected off the moon, it was strong, but from her eye to his. If he never had nature chakra, he would have lost right there. But he could bet that it was only limited to her vision of her third eye. That meant it was nearly impossible to fight against her using any or most methods. As he knew that he has to do something. A massive amount of chakra alerted him to Kaguya as he turned to see her thrusting towards him. But guys, in the end of this episode right here, if you want to see the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the notifications they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends on your social media platform, and stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And yeah guys, remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the anime making family. And thank you for all of your help and support, guys. And without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.